Welcome back, everybody. Today, have a seat. Okay, today we're gonna carry on with our framing. So we're gonna be basically putting the timber battens onto our walls for them to put our cladding on. But today it's just basically trying to figure out how we're gonna frame everything. So there's a nice, sturdy, structural thing going on.
So in order to frame our van, we're going to be using this 18mm ply offcuts, which we have plenty of in the garage over there. We're going to be kind of cutting it up into strips like this, and anywhere where there's metal on the van, we can essentially clamp it down like that and either use screws or riv nuts to attach this framing to the van, and then essentially our cladding can just attach to the framing so that we get our air gap for the reflectix, and we don't have to use the metal of our van to, you know, attach our walls to.
So the tricky part with framing that we are finding is that you need to have good contact points with the van metal. So you need to screw your plank to the van metal. However, there are a lot of cavities in the van which now you can't see. For example, this is our PIR board. There's a massive cavity here that is purely PIR board. There's no metal, there's no wood, there's nothing physically structural or a hard substrate for you to actually put a screw into. So somehow, if we were to mount something in the middle of this wall, we need to figure out a way to provide a solid mounting point for it. So we know there's metal here, we know there's metal here, so there's metal, PIR board, then metal again. So we know that a plank, it needs to be from here to here to actually have somewhere to screw into. As we get along, there's a few more problems that we'll get into, but let's get cutting. Well, measuring and then cutting, you know.
46.5. So since we're screwing this wood into metal, we can't just use regular old wood screws. We have to use wood to metal screws. Basically, we're going to be using these self-tapping 35mm metal screws. And in short, the difference between wood and metal screws is that metal screws have their threads a lot closer together. So basically there's more threads per thickness that you're going through. And also usually the threads go all the way up to the head as well.
I'm short.
Yes.
Whew.
Right, we're through.
There you go. Told you that would work.
One screw down and 99 more to go. 1 hour later. That's the results of our efforts. But the important thing is they're not coming off. So what we learnt is with these screws, they don't self-tap that well into this metal. So we have to drill for them a 4mm hole and then screw it in, and it seems to be okay. That's what we did for this last piece, and that only took us like 10 minutes. Okay, so we're going to take a break from the back doors because they're just annoying us a little bit. We'll tell you a bit more later. So next we're going to move on to the roof. Now on the roof we've already got the riv nuts installed in all the ribs, and basically there's 8 that are all the same length, so it should be relatively easy. Get one piece, mark the holes, and then just repeat 8 times. Dare I say easy.
Alright, so we're going to make a cardboard template. So here's some cardboard.
There you go. So basically we can now transpose where the holes are on this piece of cardboard onto the planks of wood, and then we know exactly where to drill. So we've drilled our holes in the roof battens here, and our M6 bolts fit nicely. However, what we want to do is we want these bolts to actually sit flush in the wood, not poke out like this. So what you actually need to take into account is the diameter of the ratchet you're using, not the diameter of the bolt head. So the diameter of this is 14mm. So what we're going to use a 15mm Forstner bit, one of these things that we won't drill all the way through, just the top bit, so the top of the bolt can sit inside the wood. So basically like a little recess.
This is how I feel at the moment. Okay. We're going to have to take the floor out again. Let's get to it, because the sun's going and winter's coming and it's getting really cold again and that sucks, so let's go. Alright, so the floor is out. That's kind of like the worst part of this situation. Essentially what's happening is the framing, which is 80mm, and then the wall is going to be another 3mm on top of that, is going to end up on top of the floor, because the floor at the moment is touching the metal. And because we need to get the floor out to do our heating and for a few other stuff, we can't secure it. So we're going to have to cut off about no more than 25mm off the perimeter of this floor to just retract it a little bit, so we can actually still lift it once the framing and the wall are in. Because if they're going in, I will not delay this process just because the floor is being weird.
Okay, back to our regularly scheduled program.
Righty then, so we have a lot of pieces of wood now cut. And now it's time to play Tetris. So now we need to figure out in what kind of combination we're gonna actually put the planks up, because a lot of these are offcuts and we have like fixed lengths that we had to work with. And also we're quite limited by where we can physically screw the wood to the metal. We have the metal bar here, PIR board, then we get to the metal here, that's metal here, and then you have the bottom cavities. And then you have metal on the bottom there. So our planks need to be able to anchor there.
Right, so this is the longest plank that we've cut. This basically has enough length to go from the ceiling to the floor. Right, so that can anchor, see the bottom part? The bottom part is okay. It can anchor right at the bottom, and then the piece of metal is about where my foot is.
Yeah.
Then from there, I can just about push it in. There's metal here.
So, but then we have a pretty big gap there.
We have a big gap because of this. This top bit is very...
quite a lot, so we might not be able to put enough tension with the screws.
Okay, so the full length ones, I don't think we can do full length. The next one we've cut is, this is about 1.60 m. So this one should be able to cover the bottom cavity down there and the middle cavity with PIR board and come up to this metal strip.
Right.
Here, so
here we have some markers as to where we think we can anchor things.
Yeah.
Those little X's, and we have like a few notes around. So
if we put that there, that's against the floor. That can bend enough into there. Yeah, so that can anchor into there quite easily. And then can that anchor...
That touches it, that's fine.
I think we can get that about in. I mean, the PIR board sticks out a little, but I think that...
But that's fine. The point is this can strap it down and push it a bit.
The top pieces are going to have to be separate. We can link the middle and the bottom together, and we should strap it over the PIR board to try and press it down to get the maximum air gap. Yeah, perfect. Don't move. So the metal ends all the way up here, so I'll do it like right in the middle. That's in. That is already really solid. Look at that.
Well, that's good.
But we do need a top one.
Good. That was very smooth. How sturdy is that?
I'm pretty much leaning on it. Yeah, that will hold the wall and more. Okay. That's pretty strong without riv nuts as well.
Yeah, it is.
Good to know.
is a 4-arm job. So either one person with 4 arms or 2 people with 2, or you know, however many you want to divide by. Morning, everybody.
Last night we managed to finish this wall, so we put all the verticals and all the horizontals in, and we didn't really have any trouble, I think. Except we did break 3 drill bits. I mean, we did buy 6, so we covered. The only real trouble that we had is along this top ridge, kind of like inside the cavities there's double layers and slants that you catch the drill bit on. I mean, we broke 2 drill bits just in this corner.
Also, Sam dropped a plank of wood on my nose. It's bruising and it hurts, and I think I need chocolate. So now that wall is done, let's do the wall with stuff on it. We're gonna start with the living room because that's also clean of stuff. And then we're gonna have to basically unscrew a few things and... A few things? All the things? Just 3.
That's all of them.
Yes, it's still a few. It's not like we built the whole wall. I'll be so excited when I don't have to deal with this reflectix. It's really annoying filming. It's like, the light keeps changing. Oh, it's perfect lighting. No, it's dark. Come to the shower wall. So this is the living room shower wall that we are dealing with now, and because we've already done these riv nuts, we're planning to reuse them. That's been bolted in and ignoring the caterpillar that ate our wood.
It's nicely recessed.
Yes. So horizontals. Okay, we're in. So the living room has been framed. So here we did the same. We drilled the hole and then we used the riv nut to mount this one. And because this one's a bit, you know, awkward to mount, there's an arc here, so there wasn't actually a proper place to use the metal. So we had to go even higher here, which is like the absolute last point that you can mount anything to. And this one is a special one too. So we didn't want to remove this insulation because this is one of the ones that has actually stuck on. So, yeah, you see this rim here? That line here? That is the metal just before it sinks into a wide open cavity here. So we did a angled screw. That's roughly the angle we have to follow. That line here.
So we've run into a little bit of trouble in the shower area because we can't actually fit the drill up there to drill a hole into basically this tiny brace. So we're going to test our window sealant. We're going to window seal the top bit and then screw in the bottom bit and see how this holds.
Right, it's been hours since we picked up the camera, but the shower wall is done. Wasn't too bad, but it was just long. So in places where our technique worked, it looks like this. And in places where our technique didn't work entirely, but then got sort of fixed up, it looks like that, and then a bit like that. So, you know, it's fine. We're not going to see it, but we didn't want to weaken it too much. But everything's back in place. Things have just shifted around a bit. One thing we did was we moved this wall 18 mil forward. So now the framing comes behind and pushes that forward. There you go. Thankfully we had space in the groove in the shower. So now we're moving on to this section, which I thought it would be more complicated, but it might not be that bad. So now we're just cutting these and we're gonna put them up and then gonna see what we're gonna do for the window frame.
screws and we're out of light, so food, and we'll see you in the morning.
So we're out of screws. They didn't arrive when they were meant to arrive, and it's Friday. So we're gonna go and package this video up for you. Most of it is done. Literally the back doors are the biggest section that has not been done, and a few miscellaneous places here behind me. But we're really happy with it. Actually, I'm quite surprised how well these metal screws are holding them in. They're not budging at all as far as, you know, the force I'm putting behind it. Even the places where we put sealant, where we couldn't reach, you know, the screws, such as here and that one there, that's not budging. That's in a way a bit more secure even than the screws, it feels. Don't quote me on that, that might not be true, and I'm not gonna test it. Right, so subscribe for next week. I believe we should be doing the window framing here and in the front, so yeah, see you then. And hopefully this time we're not gonna finish on a Friday, but it's highly unlikely because the earliest day we can work on the van is Wednesday.